Morning light spilled through the glass walls of Apex Motors, a luxury dealership where Lamborghinis and Ferraris shined like jewels. Employees moved with confidence, tailored suits, polished smiles, expensive watches. Then the doors opened. A man stepped inside. His clothes were torn, his beard long and gray, his hands trembling. He smelled of cold nights, cheap alcohol, and streets that never forgave. He carried nothing but a plastic bag and a hope no one could see. People stared, whispered, judged. Two security guards, huge men, trained, strict, blocked his path almost immediately. "Sir, you don't belong here." The old man lifted his eyes slowly. Weathered, broken, but determined. I came for work," he said, voice quiet but firm. "I can clean floors. Vesh windows. Anything. I've slept on sidewalks long enough. I want to change." The guards laughed. One pushed him by the shoulder. The other pointed at the door. "We don't hire drunks. Get out before we throw you out." The old man didn't fight back. He simply stood there, breathing slow, eyes glistening, not with anger but with memories. Memories of warm homes, of a son with bright eyes, of a life that felt like another universe. He swallowed pain like poison. "Please," he whispered. Not loud, not proud, just honest. "I don't need much. A broom, a corner, just a chance." The guards looked at him like a stain on marble. Security guard number 1 smirked. "You think you can work here? This isn't a soup kitchen." Security guard number 2 added, leaning close. "People here drive cars worth more than your whole life." Employees nearby chuckled, soft, cruel, entertained. A saleswoman took out her phone and whispered to her coworker, "He probably doesn't even know what Lamborghini means." More laughter, but the old man's gaze drifted to a bright yellow Aventador in the center of the showroom. It glowed under spotlights like a burning sun. His reflection stared back at him, small, tired, forgotten. He whispered to himself, "I promised I'd see one again someday." He took one more step forward, a foolish step, a brave step. The guards reacted instantly, grabbed his arms, twisted them behind his back, dragging him toward the exit like garbage. Customers stared. No one moved. No one cared. The old man didn't resist. But as they pulled him across the floor, his plastic bag tore, spilling what little he owned. A broken picture frame. Inside, a faded photograph of a young boy, smiling, maybe 5 years old, standing beside a man who once looked alive. The guard stopped laughing. The saleswoman did too. The old man froze, eyes locked on the photo. His voice cracked like old wood. "My son." He bent down slowly, trembling fingers reaching for the frame. One guard kicked it away with his boot. And in that exact moment, the glass office door upstairs opened. Footsteps descended the staircase. Confident, slow, sharp, every head turned. Standing above them was the owner himself. Marcus Bennett, 28 years old, tailored navy suit, watch worth more than a house. The man everyone respected, feared, envied. He walked forward, expression unreadable, eyes flicking from the crying old man to the photograph on the floor. Silence flooded the showroom. Marcus stepped closer. One step, another, another. Employees held their breath. The guard straightened. The old man finally looked up, eyes wet, voice barely a whisper. "I came to find work, but really..." He looked at Marcus, deeply, painfully, as if seeing a ghost. "I came to find you." Marcus froze. The room went still as stone. Everyone watched. Everyone waited. His jaw tightened. His eyes trembled. He stared at the picture, then at the man before him. He whispered in disbelief, "Dad!" The word hung in the air like thunder. "Dad!" No one breathed. No one blinked. Even the showroom's music seemed to fall silent. The guards, suddenly pale, unsure, released the old man's arms. He stumbled forward, not from force but shock. 20 years of life, pain, cold nights, and regret balanced on that single fragile moment. Marcus stared at him as if reality itself was cracking. This couldn't be real. It couldn't be him. The father he remembered was strong, smiling, full of dreams. Not this shadow, not this tired body wrapped in rags and rain. But the eyes were the same. Brown, gentle, filled with a sadness that once only appeared when bills came due or dreams slipped away. Now that sadness was all that remained. Marcus spoke carefully, like touching glass. "Where have you been?" The old man lifted shaking fingers toward the floor, toward that photograph. He bent slowly, painfully, picking it up as though it were a piece of his heart. The frame was cracked, just like him. "Father," voice fragile but steady. "I kept this picture every night, even when I had no blanket, no roof, no name." He held it to his chest, choking on breath. Employees exchanged looks, guilt replacing amusement. The same salesman who laughed earlier now stared at the ground, unable to meet the old man's eyes. Someone whispered, "Is this real?" Another shook their head like waking from a dream. Even the guards, towering and confident minutes ago, now seemed small. Marcus stepped closer, emotion fighting logic, disbelief battling memory. He wanted to speak, wanted to shout, wanted to demand answers. But first came pain. Sharp, deep, buried for decades. Marcus, voice tight. "You left us. You walked out and never came back. 20 years, nothing. Not a call, not a letter, not even a goodbye." The old man blinked hard, wiping tears with dirty sleeves. "Father, I didn't walk away from you, son. I fell." He closed his eyes, remembering. Flashback begins. Slow storytelling, soft tone, stretching runtime. A small kitchen, peeling wallpaper, the smell of coffee and struggle. A younger man, the same father, but healthier, alive, sits at a table, counting bills with shaking hands. A woman is coughing in the next room. Medical reports on the counter. Numbers, too large for their world. "Father," voiceover, "I try to be enough. For your mother. For you." We see him working double shifts, sweaty, exhausted, smiling at a little boy, Marcus, who runs into his arms. Then sickness spreads. Bills climb. Hope shrinks. He takes loans. He drinks to soften the fall. He breaks beneath the weight of failing the ones he loves. "Father," voiceover. "One night, I ran to buy medicine. I meant to return. But life swallowed me whole." Flashback dissolves. Present moment, back in the dealership. Marcus stands motionless. His chest rises and falls like a man trying to swim while chains pull at his ankles. "Marcus, you think that explains 20 years?" Silence. A car engine outside. The hum of showroom lights. A tear hitting the tile, like a raindrop. The father collapses to his knees. Not because he's weak, but because guilt is heavier than poverty. "Father," broken whisper. "I search for you. Every city, every shelter, every rumor." His voice cracks, raw and bleeding. "I never stopped being your father. I just stopped being the father you deserved." People watching begin to wipe tears discreetly. Even the guards bow their heads. Marcus swallows, throat tight, drowning in emotion he spent years burying. He remembers birthdays with an empty chair, Christmas with no voice at the door, a mother crying quietly at night. Pain resurfaces like waves hitting a forgotten shore. But beneath the pain is something else. A small flicker of the boy who waited at the window, who asked every year, "When will Dad come home?" Marcus kneels in front of him, slowly, until they are face to face. No Beath, no power, no glass walls between them. Just a son, and a father who thought he was lost forever. Marcus, soft, trembling. "I don't know how to forgive you yet." The old man nods, tears falling freely. "Father, I don't ask you to. Just let me try to earn my place." Marcus exhales long, deep, shattering. He reaches forward and gently takes his father's hand. The dealership watches, breathless. A moment heavy enough to break the world. Marcus whispers, voice barely audible, "Stand up, Dad." The old man lifts his head, eyes full of disbelief. "Marcus, you came here for a job?" He slowly stands, shaky but taller than before. Marcus places a hand on his shoulder. "Marcus, you'll have one." Gasps ripple through the employees. But Marcus doesn't stop. He continues, louder, for everyone to hear. "And starting today, no one in this building treats him like trash." His voice turns steel. "Understood." The entire showroom answers in quiet unison. "Yes, sir." He's not forgiven. Not healed, not whole, but he's home, or close to it, and the journey has just begun. The morning sunlight spilled through the dealership windows again, but this time it felt different. Not just luxury glinting off polished Lamborghinis, but a sense of anticipation, nervousness, and disbelief. The old man, once homeless, broken, invisible, stood in the middle of the showroom. Marcus guided him toward a broom and a bucket, gesturing as if to show everyone that this wasn't a joke. Marcus firmly, "Dad, you start today. Clean the floors. Shine the windows. Show everyone you belong here." The old man nodded, swallowing pride that had taken decades to accumulate. His hands shook as he took the broom, every movement deliberate, careful. Employees react. Whispers spread quickly. Saleswoman number 1, muttering, "Is he really working here?" Salesman number 2, scoffing, "He looks like he hasn't bathed in weeks." The old man ignored them. He bent down to sweep under a Lamborghini, his eyes catching his reflection in the glossy floor. For a moment, he saw a man again, not just a shadow of who he was. Marcus observes. Marcus walked the floor, checking in quietly, watching his father work. Pride and sadness mixed in his gaze. He remembered every birthday without his father, every lonely night, and yet, here he was, cleaning the floors of Marcus's empire. A wealthy client walked in, eyeing the old man with disgust. Client, "Oh, what's that guy doing here? He looks like a bum." Marcus approached, calm but sharp. "Marcus, he's my father, and if he wants, he can show you the cleanest floors you'll ever see." The client paused. Something about Marcus's tone, authority, respect, unshakable confidence, made him hesitate. Small victories. Throughout the day, small things happened. The old man learned the layout of the dealership. He polished the floors until the reflections of the cars gleamed. He arranged magazines in the waiting area neatly, almost ceremoniously. Marcus occasionally checked in, giving silent nods. It was enough, a signal that his father was accepted here, even if the world outside wasn't ready to forgive him yet. By the afternoon, something remarkable occurred. A child, no more than 8, wandered into the showroom with his mother. They stopped in front of the shining yellow Lamborghini. The boy looked at the old man, curious. "Child, Mom, why is that man cleaning? Does he work here?" The mother shrugged, embarrassed. But the old man smiled at the boy, warm and real, like sunshine breaking through clouds. "Old man, gently. I do now, little one." The boy grinned, and for a moment, the old man felt the first spark of dignity in decades. Late afternoon tension. By the late afternoon, the initial shock had faded for the employees, but some still murmured in corners. 2 young, muscular guards approached. Guard number 1, sneering, "Don't think this changes anything. You're just a janitor here. Don't get ideas." The old man looked up from polishing a car. His hands were tired, but his eyes were steady. "Old man, I don't need ideas. I just need a chance. That's all I ever wanted." Marcus, who had been observing from across the room, stepped forward. "Marcus, if anyone questions his place here again, you answer to me." The guards swallowed hard, unease clear in their eyes. Evening reflection. When a showroom emptied and the last car gleamed under artificial lights, the old man finally allowed himself to sit. Broom in hand, body aching, he looked at the Lamborghini he had admired that morning. He whispered to himself, "Someday maybe I'll drive one of these." But for the first time in decades, he felt hope. Not because of the car, not because of wealth, but because he had reconnected with his son. Because Marcus hadn't rejected him. Because there was a path forward. This day marked the beginning of something bigger. Learning to earn respect again. Proving to the employees that he wasn't a joke. Rebuilding trust with Marcus. And facing the ghosts of the past that had haunted both of them. The next morning, the dealership buzzed with activity. Lamborghinis polished to perfection, clients browsing, employees chatting. But the old man felt a strange tension in the air. Some employees still whispered behind his back. He had learned the ropes, sweeping, cleaning windows, organizing the showroom. But respect didn't come automatically. A challenge emerges. 2 salesmen, Mark and Reggie, cornered him near the corner where a sleek black Ferrari sat. Mark mocking, "Hey, Grandpa, nice job cleaning, but maybe stick to the floors. This isn't for you. Reggie, snickering. Yeah, maybe you should sweep up some more dreams instead. The old man clenched his fist for a moment, feeling a storm inside. But he remembered Marcus's words yesterday. He couldn't fight them. Not yet. Instead, he smiled softly and bent down to polish the wheels of the Ferrari. Old man calmly. Sometimes, what's small on the outside can shine the brightest if you give it a chance. Mark and Reggie exchanged confused looks. They hadn't expected a response, let alone one that made sense. Hidden talent revealed. As the day continued, a wealthy client entered the showroom. He was picky, arrogant, dismissive, impossible to please. Marcus tried to help, but the client kept walking around, tapping on cars, making remarks. Client, this Lamborghini is all wrong. Too much glare. I can't see the finish properly. The old man, sweeping nearby, stopped. He approached quietly. Old man, respectfully. Sir, if you'd like, I can adjust the angle of the car to the light. I used to work in painting and finishing. I know how reflections work. Marcus raised an eyebrow. The client was skeptical, but the old man carefully positioned the car under the showroom lights. The reflection danced perfectly across the hood, the paint gleaming like liquid gold. The client's jaw dropped. Client, this is perfect. How did you? Marcus, surprised. Dad, the old man smiled quietly. No one had seen this side of him. A man who had survived, who had skills buried under decades of hardship, and now he was using them to impress a multimillionaire client. The client immediately agreed to buy the car. The old man bowed slightly, returning to his work without boasting. Rising tensions. Word spread quickly through the employees. The homeless janitor had a skill they hadn't seen coming. Some were impressed, others resentful. Mark and Reggie approached again, their pride stung. Reggie, gritting his teeth. Why does he get all the attention? He's just a janitor. Marcus stepped in, voice low but firm. Marcus, he's my father, and if anyone questions his place here again, you answered me. Understood. The two men nodded, though their faces were hard. They weren't done yet. Evening, a private conversation. After closing hours, Marcus and his father walked through the empty showroom. The soft lights reflected off polished cars. The silence between them was heavy, filled with memories neither had spoken aloud. Marcus, I don't know how to feel. I've spent 20 years angry at you, hating you, wondering why you left. Father, voice shaking. I didn't leave because I wanted to. I left because I failed. I failed your mother. I failed myself. I didn't know how to come back. Marcus stopped in front of a Lamborghini. He looked at the reflection of both their faces in the glossy hood. Marcus, you got a lot to make up for, but I see you trying. That counts for something. Father, I will spend every day making it right. I promise. Not just for you, for myself. Marcus nodded slowly. The weight of 20 years of pain and longing pressed down on both of them, but for the first time, it felt like it could be lifted, foreshadowing the next challenge. Unbeknownst to them, not everyone in the dealership was happy. A rival dealership owner, hearing rumors of the unusual story of Marcus and his father, began plotting. He saw an opportunity to exploit the tension, spread gossip, and attempt to steal clients. Mark and Reggie whispered with other employees, hinting that the old man didn't belong there, planting seeds of doubt among customers. Meanwhile, Marcus knew the next few days would test more than just his father's abilities. It would test their relationship, the loyalty of the employees, and the strength of their family bond. The following morning, the dealership buzzed again, but this time, there was a different energy. Marcus's father moved with purpose. The broom in his hand no longer felt like a symbol of shame. It was a tool of redemption. Employees watched him closely. Some curious, some skeptical, some quietly impressed. Early morning challenge. Marcus's father arrived early before the staff. He inspected the floors, the cars, and even the showroom windows. Every surface gleamed under his meticulous care. Old man, muttering to himself, every reflection matters, every detail counts. Mark and Reggie entered, arms crossed, trying to intimidate. Mark, sarcastic. Look at him, sweeping like he's auditioning for a movie. You really think this matters? Father, without looking up. It matters to me. and it will matter to anyone who cares about excellence. Marcus watched from the office balcony, pride and relief mixed in his eyes. His father was starting to prove himself, not through words, but through action. First major client encounter. By mid-morning, a wealthy client walked in, someone Marcus had feared might cancel a deal due to the dealership's reputation. He looked around, noticing the homeless janitor sweeping floors. A smirk appeared. Client, who's this guy? He looks out of place. Marcus approached calmly. Marcus, that's my father, and he's one of the reasons our cars shine the way they do. The client raised an eyebrow, unconvinced. Marcus's father approached, carrying a polishing cloth. Old man, respectfully. Sir, may I show you the finish on this Lamborghini? The reflection on the hood is all about angles and light placement. He adjusted the car slightly, stepping back. Sunlight from the windows hit the paint perfectly. The client's jaw dropped. Client, this is amazing. How did you? Marcus's father smiled humbly. Old man, experience and care, sir. That's all it takes. The client nodded, impressed, and immediately agreed to purchase the car. Marcus watched silently, proud. His father was earning respect, slowly, deliberately, in a way that couldn't be ignored. Evening reflection. After closing hours, the father and son sat in Marcus's office. The city lights shimmered outside the glass walls. Marcus, you've done well today. The employees, some of them are starting to respect you. And clients too. But this is just the beginning. Father, I know. I've spent decades surviving. Now I have to learn how to live properly, with dignity. Marcus, and with me. We have a lot to catch up on. The father nodded, tears in his eyes. Father, I want to make up for lost time. Marcus, not just with work with us. Marcus reached across the desk and placed his hand over his father's. Marcus, we'll do it together. Foreshadowing trouble. As they left the office, a shadow lingered near the dealership gates. A rival dealership owner, hearing rumors of the father's sudden resurrection into Marcus's empire, watched carefully. He saw an opportunity to exploit gossip, weaken Marcus's brand, and undermine the father's fragile position. Mark and Reggie, still resentful, whispered among themselves, plotting small acts of sabotage to challenge the father's credibility. The road ahead would not be easy. The next morning at Apex Motors, the atmosphere was tense. Employees whispered, clients glanced around suspiciously, and the old man felt the weight of scrutiny heavier than ever. He had impressed a few clients, yes, but not everyone was convinced. Mark and Reggie were already plotting. Mark, whispering to Reggie, watch this. He's going to make a mistake today. He always does. Reggie, grinning. Yeah, and when he does, we'll make sure everyone sees it. He doesn't belong here. The old man arrived early, like always. He went straight to polishing a black Ferrari, ignoring the hostile murmurs behind him. His hands moved skillfully, each stroke deliberate, each reflection perfect. First attempt at sabotage. A VIP client arrived, inspecting a brand new Lamborghini. Reggie quietly suggested to the client that the old man had polished it incorrectly. Reggie casually, honestly, sir, you might want to check the reflection again. He's new at this. The client raised an eyebrow, doubt creeping in, but the old man calmly approached. Old man, sir, may I show you the paint at the correct angle? Sometimes reflections can deceive the eye. He adjusted the car slightly, the morning sun hitting the paint just right. The reflection shone perfectly, flawless and smooth. The client's doubt disappeared. Client, smiling. Impressive. This is why I'm buying from you. Reggie froze. His sabotage had failed. Marcus intervenes. Marcus, who had been observing silently from the office balcony, stepped down to the showroom floor. Marcus firmly, Dad's work here is not in question. If anyone has doubts, I suggest you keep them to yourself. Mark and Reggie gritted their teeth, but said nothing. Marcus's presence alone reminded everyone who had authority in the dealership. Bonding moment. After the client left, Marcus and his father stayed behind in the showroom. Father quietly, I didn't realize how much I'd need to prove myself here. Every day feels like a test. Marcus, it's not just about proving yourself. It's about trusting yourself again. You've got skills, Dad, and the clients can see that. Father, and you trust me? Marcus looked at him, eyes soft but determined. Marcus, I trust you with my business and my life. You've got a lot to catch up on, but we'll do it together. The father smiled, a mix of relief and hope flooding his expression. For the first time in decades, he felt like he had a purpose again, not just surviving, but living. Rival Dealership. Outside the dealership, a sleek black SUV idled. Inside, a man watched every movement. Rival owner, muttering to himself. Bennett's got a weak spot, an old man trying to prove himself. If I play this right, I can destroy their reputation and take all his clients. His plan was cruel but calculated. He would spread rumors, exaggerate mistakes, and manipulate social media to make it seem as if Apex Motors had gone soft, all while the old man worked tirelessly to earn respect. The stage was set for conflict that would test father and son alike, their bond, their skills, and their ability to face challenges together. The next morning, Apex Motors felt different. Not the usual excitement of new Lamborghinis or wealthy clients browsing the showroom. Something heavier lingered in the air, unease. Marcus noticed immediately. Sales staff whispered nervously in corners, some avoiding eye contact. Even a few loyal employees seemed distracted. Outside, the rival dealership had begun their campaign. Social media posts had started circulating. Apex Motors hires unqualified staff, risking your dream cars. Photos of Marcus's father sweeping floors were taken out of context, captions mocking his appearance. Marcus's phone buzzed incessantly with messages from worried clients. Marcus, frowning to himself. They're trying to turn this into a joke. I won't let them. Confrontation in the showroom. As the morning progressed, a client entered with an angry tone, holding his phone. Client, look at this. I saw a post online. Your dealership hires bums. Is this true? Marcus stepped forward, calm but authoritative. Marcus, that's my father you're talking about. He's more capable than most people you've met. And if you want a Lamborghini polished perfectly, he's the best you will ever see. The client hesitated, unsure. The father, overhearing, approached quietly. Father, respectfully, confident. Sir, may I show you the finish on this car? I guarantee you won't find a flaw. The client reluctantly agreed. The father adjusted the car's angle under the sunlight. The paint reflected perfectly, every curve and detail gleaming flawlessly. Client, amazed. Unbelievable. This is incredible. I take it. Whispers spread among the staff. Some stare at the father in awe. Others looked guilty for ever doubting him. Evening, father and son bonding. After the chaos, Marcus and his father stayed late in the empty showroom. They walked slowly among the shining Lamborghinis, memories of the past and the reality of the present heavy on their minds. Father, I never thought I'd be back here. Not as a visitor, but as part of this. Marcus, you're not just part of it. You're part of me. We'll face every challenge together. Employees, rivals, anything. Father, smiling faintly. I've waited a long time to hear that. And now, I'll prove myself every single day. The father looked around the showroom, eyes lingering on the yellow Lamborghini, the car he once dreamed of, and now a symbol of second chances. The next morning, Apex Motors felt the tension in the air. The whispers had grown louder overnight. Social media posts by the rival dealership were circulating rapidly, mocking Marcus's father, calling him the homeless janitor who thinks he can polish Lamborghinis. Employees were divided. Some had started to quietly distance themselves from the father, unsure if Marcus's decision to employ him was wise. Others admired his resilience, but feared the growing scrutiny. A test arrives. A high-profile client walked in, a billionaire collector interested in purchasing multiple cars for his private collection. He was meticulous, picky, and notoriously hard to impress. He walked past the father, noting his appearance, and gave a subtle, skeptical glance. Client, snidely, I hope he's not your main detailer. That would be a mistake. The father stopped sweeping and looked at him directly, holding his broom like a conductor about to start a symphony. Father calmly, Sir, I assure you, the work you'll see today will meet your expectations. May I show you the first car? Marcus, standing nearby, felt his chest tighten. This was the first real test, a client whose opinion could make or break their reputation. Demonstrating skill, the father worked with meticulous care. Each car's surface gleamed under the morning sun, reflections perfect. The client circled the car, inspecting every angle. He muttered to himself, clearly impressed. Client, raising an eyebrow, impressed. This is exceptional. I've never seen a detailer work with such precision. Marcus smiled, pride swelling in his chest. The father's skill had done what words could not. It had silenced doubts, at least for this client. Father, humbly, experience comes from life, sir. You learn patience and attention when every mistake costs you dearly. The client nodded, satisfied, and agreed to purchase not one, but 3 cars, a massive sale for the dealership. Employee tensions. Mark and Reggie, watching from the side, scowled. Their plan to humiliate the father had failed again. They muttered among themselves, plotting subtle ways to undermine him. Misplacing cleaning supplies, spreading rumors of mistakes, questioning minor details in front of clients. The father, however, remained calm. He had learned patience and resilience over decades of hardship. He knew that only his actions, not arguments, could prove his worth. Father and son bond. Later, after closing, Marcus and his father sat in the showroom. The lights reflected perfectly off the cars, creating a serene, almost sacred atmosphere. Marcus, today was huge. That client, it could have gone badly, but you handled it perfectly. Father, I couldn't have done it without you giving me this chance. But I want to earn this respect every day. Not because I'm your father, but because I can. Marcus smiled, feeling the bond between them strengthen with each passing day. Marcus, you're proving yourself in ways I couldn't have imagined. I'm proud of you, but be ready, it's going to get harder. Foreshadowing the rival attack. As they left the office, Marcus's phone buzzed. It was a message from a loyal client, warning of suspicious behavior from a rival dealership. They had started a smear campaign online, posting doctored photos and lies to tarnish Apex Motors' reputation. Marcus looked at his father. Marcus, this is only the beginning, but we face it together. No one can break us if we trust each other. The father nodded. A determined fire flickered in his eyes. Father, then let them try. I've survived worse than this, and I won't fail now. The next morning, Apex Motors opened to a storm. Not literal rain, but a social and emotional one. Screens flashed notifications, social media posts from the rival dealership, doctored photos, and malicious captions mocking Marcus's father. Homeless janitor ruins luxury cars. Would you trust a man living on the streets with your Lamborghini? Apex Motors' new detailer is a joke. Employees whispered nervously, unsure whom to trust. A few looked at the father with doubt, hesitant to follow Marcus's guidance fully. Marcus stepped into the showroom, jaw tight, scanning the faces around him. Marcus, listen to me. Do not let anyone make you doubt him. He has earned this. Every client, every reflection, every detail. He belongs here. Understood? A hesitant chorus of yes, sir echoed, but tension lingered. The first confrontation with clients. A client walked in, waving his phone. Client, angry. I saw the posts. How can you trust this guy with a Lamborghini? The father stepped forward calmly, his eyes steady. Father, sir, I assure you, those posts are lies. What I do here, I do with care and respect for every car. Let me show you. He guided the client to a red Ferrari, adjusting the lighting subtly to reflect its curves perfectly. The client frowned, skeptical, then slowly, astonishment spread across his face. Client, this is flawless. I've never seen anything like it. Marcus watched silently, pride and relief mixing. The father's skill had spoken louder than words. Employee sabotage continues. Mark and Reggie, frustrated, tried another tactic. They spread rumors to a group of junior staff that the father had no credentials, that Marcus was letting personal feelings cloud judgment. A few younger employees began to question him quietly, hesitating when asked to assist. Marcus noticed this during a team meeting. He stood, looking around the room, voice calm but icy. Marcus, Everyone here is judged by their work. He's earned his place by results, not appearances. If anyone has a problem, come to me, not whisper behind his back. The room went silent. Even the most skeptical staff lowered their heads. Father and son strategy session. After closing, Marcus and his father sat in Marcus's office, reviewing social media posts and planning a response. Father, they're trying to make me look weak, but I've faced worse. The street taught me resilience. Marcus, and we'll use that. We'll turn their lies into proof of our strength. Every client we impress, every sale we close, it's our answer. The father nodded. Father, I've waited my whole life for a second chance, and now I won't waste it. Marcus reached across the desk, placing a hand on his father's. Marcus, together, Dad, always. Foreshadowing the coming storm. The rival dealership owner, watching from his office, smiled coldly. He had bigger plans. A scheme to publicly humiliate Apex Motors during a high-profile event. The kind of event that could ruin their reputation overnight. Marcus knew this day would come. He also knew he had something the rival didn't. His father's skill, wisdom, and the bond they were rebuilding. Something no social media smear could ever destroy. Marcus, to himself, we'll face them, together, and we'll come out stronger. The father looked out the window, eyes glinting with determination. Father, let them come. I'm ready. The day of the high-profile automotive event arrived. Apex Motors had planned to showcase their newest collection of Lamborghinis and Ferraris. It was meant to be a celebration, a display of luxury and skill. But the rival dealership had other plans. Social media posts were flooding the feeds. Apex Motors hires a homeless man to detail their most expensive cars, and doctored images of Marcus's father messing up a Lamborghini. The intention was clear: embarrass the dealership in front of the city's elite and wealthy collectors. Marcus stood in the middle of the showroom, scanning the polished cars and the anxious employees. Marcus firmly, listen, ignore the rumors. Focus on your work. Dad, I need you at the front. Your task is simple. Impress. Prove every single lie wrong. The father nodded, taking a deep breath. He looked around at the gleaming vehicles, feeling the weight of decades of failure and the chance to redeem himself in one day. First impressions. The doors opened, and the first wave of VIP clients entered. They glanced around nervously, some smirking as they whispered about the homeless janitor. The father stepped forward, standing tall, face clean, demeanor calm but confident. Father, good morning, sir. May I show you the finishing on this Lamborghini? Every detail is precise. A wealthy client raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. The father guided him carefully around the car, adjusting the lighting subtly so the reflections of the showroom lights danced across the curves perfectly. Client, astonished. This is flawless. Truly exceptional work. Word began to spread through the showroom. Whispers turned to murmurs, murmurs to stunned silence. The father's skill was undeniable. Rival dealers' shock. Outside, the rival dealership owner watched the live stream of the event. His smirk faltered. The posts he had made to embarrass Marcus and his father were being ignored in the face of undeniable talent. Rival dealer angredi. How is he doing this? Marcus's father moved from car to car, clients following, watching in awe. Every time someone doubted him, he proved them wrong. Every sneer, every mocking comment was countered with skill, patience, and professionalism. Emotional moment. At one point, Marcus joined his father on the showroom floor. He handed him a polishing cloth and placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Marcus, you're doing it, Dad. Every single one of them is seeing the man I've always known you to be. Father, smiling, eyes glistening. I've waited my whole life for this moment. Not for praise, but to show that no matter how far you fall, you can rise again. A few employees who had doubted him earlier quietly approached, apologizing for their earlier skepticism. Employee, I judged you too soon. I see now how skilled you are. The father nodded, humility and pride mixing in his expression. Rival dealer's desperation. Seeing his plan fail, the rival dealership owner decided to crash the event personally. He stormed into the showroom with a small entourage, intending to confront Marcus and humiliate him in front of the clients. Marcus stepped forward, calm but commanding. "Marcus, leave. Now, you're not welcome here, and you won't ruin this for anyone." The rival sneered, but before he could speak, the father stepped forward. "Father, voice strong, unwavering. You wanted to humiliate us? Look around. Every client here is impressed. Every car shines perfectly. Your lies mean nothing against skill, integrity, and resilience. Now leave before you embarrass yourself." The rival glared, realizing he was beaten. He and his entourage exited, seething, but Apex Motors' reputation had been solidified. Aftermath. The clients clapped and congratulated Marcus's father. The employees, once doubtful, now looked at him with respect and admiration. Marcus pulled his father aside, eyes shining with pride. "Marcus, you did it, Dad. You proved everyone wrong. You've earned your place here, not because of me, but because of yourself." Father, smiling, exhausted. "I feel finally like I belong somewhere again. And not just in this dealership, but in your life, Marcus." Marcus nodded, the weight of 20 years of separation beginning to lift. "Marcus, welcome home, Dad. This is just the beginning." The morning after the public event, Apex Motors hummed with a renewed energy. The staff who had once doubted the father now greeted him with respect, some even asking for guidance on polishing techniques and car detailing. The father had transformed in the eyes of everyone, from a homeless janitor to a figure of skill, perseverance, and quiet authority. But more importantly, he was rebuilding his relationship with his son, Marcus. Mentorship begins. The father walked through the showroom, carrying polishing cloths and instructions for cleaning. "Father, attention to detail matters. Every reflection, every line, it tells a story about the car and the person who owns it. Never rush. Excellence takes patience." A group of younger employees gathered around, eager to learn. Employee number 1. "Sir, how did you learn this?" Father, smiling softly. "I didn't learn it in schools. I learned it surviving on the streets, working hard for every small thing, and never giving up. Life teaches you what books cannot." The employees listened intently, taking notes, inspired. Marcus watched from across the room, pride swelling in his chest. His father had earned not just respect, but loyalty. Emotional reconciliation. Later, Marcus and his father walked through the empty showroom, the polished cars reflecting the morning sun. "Marcus, you've done more than impress clients or employees. You've taught them something bigger: resilience, integrity, and patience. I'm proud of you." Father, voice soft, emotional. "I'm proud of you too, Marcus. You didn't have to give me a chance. You could have rejected me, and I would have understood. But you didn't. You let me prove myself, and you let me back into your life." Marcus nodded, eyes glistening. "Marcus, we have 20 lost years to catch up on. But every day forward counts more than 1,000 wasted ones." They walked past the yellow Lamborghini in the center of the showroom. The father paused, staring at it with longing. "Father, I never thought I'd touch one of these again, much less see it in this light." Marcus, grinning. "Well, Dad, maybe it's time you drive one. Reward and recognition." A few days later, Marcus made a decision. He called his father into his office and handed him an envelope. Inside was the key to a bright yellow Lamborghini Aventador, the same car the father had admired since the first day he entered the showroom, and a check for $300,000. "Marcus, you've earned this, not just for surviving, but for proving yourself, earning respect, and being a father I can be proud of. Drive it if you want, or sell it. The choice is yours." The father's eyes filled with tears. Father, choking on words. "Marcus, I don't know what to say." "Marcus, you don't need to say anything. Just know you're home, and this is your reward for never giving up." Employees and clients celebrate. Word spread quickly. Clients who had purchased cars came to congratulate the father. Employees looked on with respect and admiration. Apex Motors' reputation soared, and Marcus's father became a local legend. The man who rose from homelessness to command the respect of one of the city's most luxurious dealerships. Mark and Reggie, who had once mocked him, now watched in silence, unable to deny the transformation. Mark muttering, I underestimated him. Reggie, yeah, he's not just surviving, he's thriving. Closing father-son bond. That evening, Marcus and his father stood on the balcony of the dealership, overlooking the city lights. Father, I've spent decades running, hiding, losing. But now I'm not just alive. I'm part of something. Part of you. Marcus. And we'll never lose each other again. They shared a long, meaningful embrace, the weight of 20 lost years finally lifting. The father had reclaimed his dignity, rebuilt his relationship with his son, and earned a place not just in the dealership, but in the world he had long thought abandoned him. The city lights of Apex Motors gleamed like stars as the father and son stood in the showroom. The dealership had faced trials, ridicule, and sabotage, but now it shone brighter than ever. The father, once a homeless man, had proven himself to the employees, the clients, and most importantly, his son. Marcus had witnessed his father rise from despair to mastery, rebuilding not just a career, but a family bond lost for 20 years. Final emotional payoff. The father held the keys to the yellow Lamborghini Aventador in his hands, feeling its weight, both literal and symbolic. Father, voice breaking. I never imagined this. Not the car, not the respect, not you. Marcus, smiling warmly. You earned it all, Dad. And more importantly, you earned yourself back. They embraced. A long, emotional hug, bridging decades of absence, pain, and longing. The employees, once skeptical, watched in silence, inspired. Even Mark and Reggie, who had mocked him relentlessly, now nodded respectfully. Outside, the rival dealership had been silenced. Their smear campaigns, lies, and sabotage had failed against authenticity, resilience, and skill. Marcus and his father stepped outside. The father placed one hand on the Aventador, the other on Marcus's shoulder. Father, 20 years lost, but a lifetime to rebuild. Marcus, and we'll do it together. Every day forward. The father got into the Lamborghini. Engines roared, headlights glinting. He drove slowly past the showroom, waving at employees who cheered. It wasn't just a car, it was victory, redemption, and a second chance at life. The story ended not with wealth or fame, but with forgiveness, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between father and son.